October 10th Shipyard Report. My name is Daniel Vallis and welcome to our channel. I hope you've been checking out the timeline every single day. Links are in the description box to keep up with what is going on in the world right now. So much telling us that time is very short, especially if you zoom in at the bottom of the timeline. You can see what we're doing here, quick notes about what's going on in the Brook Cherith. But right up above that in the red text, that is some of the world events that have been going on that really should concern us right now. Because almost every single day there is talk about nuclear war in the news. Russia's talking about it, the US is talking about it, NATO's talking about it, Ukraine's talking about it. Almost North Korea too. Almost every single day now. Talk about nuclear weapons, who's deploying them, who should use them. Again, if you just look at the news since our last video, which was a week ago, there's been so much news just with that. Talks about World War III and Armageddon and preemptive nuclear strikes. This is going on the world stage because this is what they're getting ready for. So definitely review the timeline. We're not covering that today, but you can definitely see how they are pushing toward the agenda. This is their scripted play, and they are leading to World War III, the sun destruction that the Bible tells us is coming when they say this. The peace and safety is the subject of the hour because that is what is at peril right now. So we can definitely see that things are definitely accelerating toward the sun destruction. We see that they have lit the fuse, they're pouring gasoline on the fire, and also in context of the Joel warning, which we saw a year ago, which we've talked about in some of our recent videos. Everything's right on track with what the Bible says, what prophecy has forewarned us about. And so we definitely see a possible window between now and the 19th of November and 5th of December, those 1 year markers of the celestial sign a year ago. So we still have just under 2 months left of time, and the Lord's definitely given us an incredible mission and opportunity that lines up exactly with what He is showing us about the celestial and prophetic time too. So we are here in the workshop today, just going to give you a quick update of what the Lord's been doing, preparing for this work. And there will always be so much time and attention needed in the preparation stage, especially the larger the project. And some of our recent videos have been extra long. I do not like making long videos whatsoever. It takes me far longer to make a long video than it is for you to watch it, but I want you to be informed about this opportunity that the Lord is showing us. I want you to be informed about what we're doing, where your support and gifts are going toward. I want you to be informed about what the Lord is doing right now, because that is the sole reason why He has brought us on this celestial learning journey, so we could see His hand at work. And that tells us the time, that shows us the time. We've seen that so many things. He's shown us the celestial clock, the time, the last page of the Bible, the last page of Revelation, right in context with the geopolitical warnings we see ringing out every single day, telling us the sun destruction is mere weeks away, apparently. And so, with everything that our Father is showing us, He's also showing this opportunity here in the ground level, showing us His heart that comports with what is about to come on the world. And so that's why I am showing you all this, because I want you to see the reality of what our Father's working. See the reality of what He's been working for the past 7 years, past 10 years on this celestial learning journey, all leading to this point in time, the latter end of the last generation, where it's all coming together. So, as you see the reality of it, I want your heart to be stirred, and that is my prayer, that the Lord will stir in your heart to see what He wants you to see here at this late hour. We aren't covering this for morbid curiosity. These videos are not for entertainment, because there is an accountability to it. Whenever the Lord shows us anything and directs it and has His hand evident in it, then we will be accountable for, did that stir in us? And so much more as we see the day approaching. So we are going to review some of what we've been covering. We are getting ready for the trailers. And this is certainly nothing new. We've been in the moving organization planning process since last year even. The Lord was really directing even since early 2021. As we saw, we were approaching the end of the day counts associated with Revelation 12. I knew we would have to move, and I knew there's a lot of optimization that would really make the Brook Cherith need to be able to hit the ground running right away. And so the Lord directed even back at early 21 to really start planning, do a lot of ground planning on how would you break up the different sections into trailers so that you could have everything ready to go, already all set up and ready to go. at the rapture, right when the tribulation is starting, when you don't have time to waste. And so a lot of this study and preparation that I'm doing now, the actual work of putting into practice and these prototypes, the Lord has had me studying this and working on it and chewing on it over the past year. I haven't talked much about that aspect of it, but we have been observing it, and I've mentioned it a little bit here and there, of understanding that the work here at this Brook Cherith location, prior to now, that was all a dress rehearsal. I knew we would have to move, and so it is amazing for me personally. It's hard to explain to you just to see how the Lord has prepared so much by the thinking process and having me go through rehearsals mentally and simulations, putting a lot of thought into this. So now when a lot is getting ready to be put into practice, a lot of work has already been done. It's been done behind the scenes because you haven't seen all the hours put into it, but a lot of examination of this preparation has already been done. And so a lot of the major trailers I've already thought of, how would we break it up? Now, a lot is going to depend on the actual trailers, because enclosed trailers, race car trailers, they all vary in configurations. The sizes are pretty much the same, but the doors will change and move in location, and some will have generator cabinets inside and other stuff. So not until we get the actual trailers will we be able to hone in the details of what exactly how the layout will be, but we have a good idea that it will be along these lines. And again, like I said in the last video, a lot of work when we do get the trailers is going to be very minimal in the first place. Just a bit of painting, electrical work, put some lights on them, and just a little bit of customization on the inside and adding a special door on the outside too, or a sliding door in the rear or something like that. There's very little that needs to be done. It's really just going to be a lot of tables and chairs and hanging things on the wall. So a lot will happen pretty quickly, but there are certain details that I can't account for until we actually get those certain trailers and look at them and see how they are configured, particularly if they're flat-nosed or V-nosed. That makes a huge difference in the space. Of all the trailers that we will need, we're going to need about 25 of them. Only a small handful of them will be really expensive, and that's just because of the size that they are and just needing certain accoutrements that go with them, particularly such as the operating room. That's going to be very specialized. It will need to be a very clean interior, and I'm already looking at different used trailers that will meet some of the requirements for most of all the trailers that we will need. So I already have a good idea of the price range for all of these. But the operating room will probably be the most expensive one because it would be very similar to this used trailer. A few cabinets already pre-installed, and a restroom will be a criteria for this one as well too. But there's very few trailers that will have to be that expensive. The next step down though will be the food trailers, the 2 kitchen trailers that we will need, one for the kitchen preparing food and one for sterilize, because they will have a lot of the same type of interiors and stainless steel working surfaces and everything. But we can find, and I've seen a lot of used food trailers, the larger ones, which is what we'll need. They run in about the $30,000 range per trailer, depending on what equipment actually comes with them on the inside too. So we have a good idea and already bookmarked several that are available as well. But the majority of the trailers that we will need are going to be 28-foot or smaller, just plain old trailers. And the cost for them drastically drops down to only about $6,500. And this is about most of what we're going to need. Almost 75% of the trailers that we will need will cost an average of $6,500 on average. That's about 75% of the trailers that we're going to need. So Lord willing, as provision comes in, you will start to see a large percentage of the trailers that we will actually need actually arriving on campus, Lord willing. And then painting them and putting electrical needs in them as well, and the special doors and everything, and then we can move stuff in. So Lord willing, we can drastically start reaching 75% completion in a very short amount of time. Especially if we have helpers once we start getting the trailers and get the capital on hand too for the additional supplies and paint and all that. Really, once you have 1 or 2 of those trailers done for 75% of them, the rest, a large bulk of the work that helpers can help with, is just copying the initial setup work of the first prototype and template trailers, with the painting and putting lights on and how to put the doors on and everything like that. So Lord willing, again, definitely keep this in prayer. A lot can be done. 75% can be accomplished really, really quickly it could happen within 2 weeks time period, just because 75% of the trailers really won't need that much work done to them. We just need to get them, freshen them up, and they are ready to go. And so we can start parking them out on the field then. So I already have a good idea of what's available in this area, so we could quickly get them when provision comes in. Again, the bulk of our trailers are going to be the same size as our laundry trailer or smaller, even half that size. Just because a lot of little ones that we will need for maintenance and security and the information desk, we're going to need a lot of little ones. And so praise the Lord, the other day I went out to the field and started bush hogging along the edge of it. I'm getting ready to bush hog the whole field, just nibble a little bit away at a time over the next few days. And that will also keep the landlord happy too. But just get an idea of the field that's available, the space, get an idea of how we would orientate it once we start getting the trailers. And it is exciting to see how the Lord is giving wisdom and information as we go forward, faithfully taking the steps that we can. We don't have the trailers right now, but we're not ready for them. We are not ready for them yet. And that's what the Lord's really been emphasizing lately is He's not going to give us more than we can handle. And again, I'm only one person. I only have 2 hands, I only have 1 back, and I only have 12 hours in a day. So there's only so much I can do, and on top of other obligations I have as well too. So the Lord's not going to cause a lot to happen until we are ready for it. And this is one thing He's really been emphasizing. Are you faithful in the little steps, the preparation steps, to get the shipyard ready? Because if the shipyard is not ready, then it would be detrimental to take the next steps, because you would just fall flat on your face, because you would be overwhelmed, because you were not ready. And so this is one thing the Lord keeps reminding me. We take the steps forward to get ready so that when He does open the doors of provision, when He does open and give liberty for helpers and just the wisdom for everything to come together, we will need to be ready for it. And I've often thought this week of Noah, just when the Lord told him to build the ark, that it probably took Noah over a year at a minimum just to prepare the ground where they were going to build the ark. It probably took him just over a year at least just to prepare the shipyard where they were going to build the ark before they even started cutting down trees for the ark and buying wood and doing who knows whatever they did for it. He had to go through a lot of planning, make sure the ground was level, make sure they had entryways to bring everything in, make sure they had a tool shop ready. There was a lot of preparation that Noah would have to do before he even laid the first beam on the ground. But once that preparation was done, he didn't have to worry too much about that once the ark was started, because the preparation work was done. And likewise, the Lord keeps reminding me, there are things you need to finish up, prototypes you need to finish up, organization you need to do, because once I start opening doors of provision and start bringing in the trailers, you are going to be too busy to do anything else. So you have to do all those loose end things now, get the organization ready before you're really overwhelmed. You think you're overwhelmed now, wait till you really get going and really start seeing the trailers come in, because you need to be organized now. And I often think of the quote, "Make not your sails too big for your ballast." Just like a ship has ballast weights down below just to keep it from tipping over, you have to keep it proportional to the sails that you have. If you have too much sail and not enough ballast, you'll tip over. You'll capsize. And the Lord keeps reminding me that He's not allowing me to go beyond what I'm capable of doing, so I'm not overwhelmed. And also understanding what is coming, the storm and flurry of events that we are expecting in the preparation once everything really starts rolling. We need to get rid of all the loose ends now so that we aren't overwhelmed by that or have that on the table or in the way when things do happen. And so the Lord's been reminding me several different things along that line of thinking, are you ready for the trailers? Different people are asking and wondering, are the trailers there yet? Are the trailers there yet? Well, the Lord keeps reminding me, are you ready for the trailers yet? Are you ready for the trailers yet? No, you're not. But you're very close. You're getting very close. And so that keeps reminding me, we have to get ready for the trailers before we can have the trailers. And so the Lord reminded me, as we talked about in our last video, one reason we were able to fly with the laundry trailer when we got it we were able to paint it the same day and start moving supplies in the next day was because of the organization and the pre-planning and the pre-staging of supplies, so that when the trailer did come, we already had everything on hand. We were able to do everything right away. And the Lord brought that question up the other day, almost as soon as I was done our last video. He said, if I brought in a trailer today, would you be able to paint it like you did the laundry trailer? And I had to think there for a moment, like, actually, no, we wouldn't be able to do that because I don't have any paint. I don't have any of the supplies staged that we would need to do right away, and that would hold up all the other work on it too. I don't have any paint. And so the Lord really emphasized, you better get the paint. If you're expecting trailers, if you want me to bring trailers, you better be ready for when they start pulling up in the driveway. So praise the Lord, with the provision, I was able to go to the store and get the paint that we would need for the first trailer when it comes in. Get the primer and paint for the floor too as well. And just really start going through the mental processes, because the Lord was really starting to emphasize this. You need to make sure you are ready for when the trailers get here. Because when they get here, you're not going to have time to run around like a chicken with your head cut off, wondering, oh, where's the paint? Oh, we don't have paint. I need to go to the store now. No, you better have all your ducks in a row before that happens. And so this also, of course, has kicked off other thinking processes throughout the week, and just thinking, okay, what else needs to be organized before trailers can come here? Before helpers can come here? I mean, when they get here, do we have tools that they need? Where are they going to work? Just go through these mental processes. The Lord was really helping me review, is the shipyard ready yet? If it's not ready yet, you shouldn't be expecting the trailers yet. So after he emphasized that I should get the paint, and I got that in order, then he also emphasized and brought to mind the kitchen trailer, because that is really one thing I'd like to get early on, just because we'd have to practice quite a bit with that just to get a lot of the kinks out and just get a good workflow with it too, and it would come in handy if we have a number of helpers come out too. So I was thinking about the kitchen trailer, and the Lord reminded me, if you did get a kitchen trailer and you back that up to the shipyard and the loading dock, and we're working on it and just freshening it up and everything, where would you plug it in? How would you test it? You don't have anywhere to plug it in, do you? And I had to think there, like, actually, yeah, we don't have anywhere to plug it in. We don't have an RV hookup. We don't have a trailer hookup at the loading dock, do we? We had one back at the service area where we parked and worked on the laundry trailer, and it was very important to have that hookup then, have that power on site. And so Lord reminded me, you better put that next on the list too, because you are going to have power, because that will hold you up if you don't have that kind of power and juice available for the trailers that you already know you're going to need and would really like to work on first. So praise the Lord, he directed my attention back to the service area, our first shipyard, where we had prepared the laundry trailer and the generator trailer. We had the maintenance shed set up there, and we moved it and set it up there specifically as a shipyard to work on those two trailers. And praise the Lord, it was hugely helpful at that time to have the tool shed right there, because all the tools were right there and power was right there too. Well, in this moving process we've been doing lately, the maintenance shed was cleared out, moved into the patient wing, and the shed was sold. Which the Lord reminded me, the power connections are still there, aren't they? All the power lines for a 30 amp connection and a 50 amp connection too, aren't they? Why don't you just pull them up and redirect them to the loading dock so you can use them there? And praise the Lord, this definitely brought back a lot of memories the other day of when the Lord asked us to pick up the shovel. You may have heard me refer to that quite a bit lately. That comes from almost 2 years ago when the Lord directed me to start the shipyard there. Remember, the whole project for the laundry trailer and the generator trailer and the maintenance shed, it was all just a dirt yard back there. Remember that? But the Lord gave the direction for the laundry trailer, the generator trailer, and the entire patient wing, and the maintenance shed there too. That entire project, which he showed his hand so mightily in. But you will remember it all started when he emphasized, you need to pick up the shovel, you need to dig the power lines where the conduit will be laid for the power lines to go to the maintenance shed and for the power hookups at this new shipyard. Get them in the ground so you can work on the trailers when they arrive. so those hookups are ready before the trailers arrive. And praise the Lord, it was a really moving experience to consider what the Lord is working now, what the Lord worked over a year ago, and everything that He has prepared for such a time as this, and to see His hands through it all in so many ways. And now He's showing, use the old shipyard supplies for the new shipyard. You saw how we worked with the first 2 trailers. Now we're getting ready for the trailers that are going to be built on that template too, going forward. And so praise the Lord, it was encouraging to reflect on how our Father has showed Himself faithful. When we do pick up the shovel, when we do go forward in faith, when we do the least that is in our ability to do, He will take care of the rest. So praise the Lord, that really encouraged me to pick up the shovel again and start digging up the conduit, getting ready to redirect it to the new shipyard, which was really the opposite way down the sidewalk it would reach. And so the Lord just showed me, just use the same conduit, you just need to redirect it to go the other way, other direction. Instead of working in the back of the patient wing, you're going to be working in the front of the patient wing. The same patient wing that the Lord provided and was related to the first shipyard is also related to the second shipyard. Now the patient wing is the even larger maintenance shed. And so praise the Lord, it was a whole lot easier to dig up the conduit than it was to dig the trenches to put them in the ground. And so that was very helpful. It's still a lot of work though. And so praise the Lord, I was able to pull up about half of the conduit, and then the other half I was just able to yank the wires out of it with enough conduit to redirect it going the other way. And so praise the Lord, it's just an incredible trip down memory lane to review all that our Father has done on this learning journey. It took the rest of the night pretty much to run all the wire again going the other way with conduit under the patient wing. So I spent quite a bit of time crawling under there and trying to stuff wire through conduit under the building. But praise the Lord, I was able to complete it that evening. And praise the Lord, in the morning I was able to finish up the wiring. So we now have 15 amp outlets, a 30 amp RV outlet, and a 50 amp RV outlet too as well. So Lord willing, all the different types of outlets that we will need when we pull up the different types of expected trailers where we can work on them right away. Hook them up, be able to test whatever systems they might have in them, their own power systems, and also have plenty of power on site, allow multiple tools to be plugged up. So multiple helpers, again, could also be working on 2 or 3 trailers that are parked side by side here at the same time too. So the Lord's really been bringing a lot to mind. Are you ready for the trailers? You need to get ready for the trailers. You are very close. But remember how we did things at the first shipyard, preparing the first 2 trailers. Let's do the same thing, same process here at the second shipyard. Going forward in faith. And praise the Lord, I was able to clear up a bit more space too in the workshop on either side, the main hall and the side wing as well. Also able to get some more work done on the power carts and the light poles added on one of them so far. And this was really neat just to see it finally done. You got to make it be able to reach up high enough to spread out some light, but also short enough to go through doors and fit in a trailer too as well. I'm just using a simple paint pole as a telescoping pole and putting very simple lightweight lights on top of them with spotlight light bulbs so they send off a lot of light. But this keeps them easy to maintain as well. There's all sorts of fancy LED floodlights you can buy online and everything, but I want something that if it gets bumped or banged up against a doorway or something, that they could easily replace the bulbs. They're easy to fix with common parts. And these are for the interior power carts, so I didn't have to worry about waterproofing and all that stuff. So these are very simple, very lightweight, easy to maintain if the bulbs break, but they put off a lot of light. And the pole on these lights can be raised to 12 feet. So again, these are being prepared so once I find a large venue such as a gymnasium or a church fellowship hall, they can just roll these carts in, raise up the lights, and they can instantly see in a large area, start being able to work on more permanent installations and more power solutions as well, other generators that might be needed. But this allows them to have working light very, very quickly. And praise the Lord, I got 2 more paint poles in the mail today. They finally arrived. These are very special paint poles because these extend to 24 feet high. And I'm going to put these on the other 2 power carts that are going to be used inside. Again, this allows them to raise the lights up to a good height inside of a gym or a large fellowship hall and really light up the area. Lord willing, I'm also going to use this pole on the outside exterior power carts for the lights as well. They will need some folding stabilizers to go with them just because of the potential wind and everything. But again, they're going to have very lightweight lights that will add a lot of working light to different areas and be able to roll out very quickly. And praise the Lord, I've already started working on the cart for that. It's going to be powered by 2 deep cycle batteries. So just be very self-contained, at least have temporary lighting for quite a while until they can put a generator next to it and run it, or run a power line from the main generator trailer to it as well too. But self-sustained light, just be able to hit the ground running, especially if they're setting up in a parking lot in the middle of night or something like that, have light right away. And again, this brought up an interesting preparation question and dilemma with, is the shipyard ready yet? Particularly as we are expecting to do quite a bit of electrical customization on all the trailers that come through, or fixing them up, or whatever. The Lord used the prototypes that we're working on now that are going to be copied here to also bring up questions about the readiness of the shipyard. Because again, we've just moved a lot of supplies out of the old maintenance shed, so there's a lot that's just thrown together, is very disorganized, a little thrown around the place here in the patient wing. And so the Lord used working on one of the power carts. It took me probably 30 minutes just to find some heat shrink that I needed to finish up the project. I was digging all through the different piles of electrical supplies, and the Lord was really emphasizing all this needs to be organized. If you're expecting to do a lot more electrical work with a lot more helpers too, you need to get organized, number one, so you know where everything is at, and number two, so your helpers know where everything is at too. You're not ready for trailers, and you're not ready for helpers yet either. And so working on that, I was like, yes, Lord, it's obvious. We definitely could organize some of these subjects a lot more. And so praise the Lord, with your provision help, I was able to go to Harbor Freight. I was able to get a tool cart just for all the power and electrical, and a lot of the supplies to be kept on hand, working on prototypes or rolling out to the loading dock and working on specialized electrical projects there on the trailers. Have most of everything that is needed in one convenient place, all the connectors, and especially for conduit, just a lot of things that working on the electrical projects we want right on hand. That will help speed up a lot of the tasks that need to be done. And so praise the Lord, this vastly helped consolidate a lot of electrical supplies, get them all in one place, and also force the organization of the rest of the larger bulk electrical supplies too. Lord willing, I'd also like to get a cart to organize all the plumbing supplies, just all the PEX parts and the plumbing parts and the valves. And again, we're going to have to be doing some of that customization on some of the trailers too. And so it'd be nice just to be able to have everything findable by everybody that's working here, everything in one place. I was able to organize and set up 3 other shelves that we had and get a bunch of the stuff finally cleared out of the old kitchen and organized here as well. Again, bringing everything here to the patient wing as much as possible, inventorying it, going through it for quality control, and mentally assessing if we had a kitchen trailer, what would be needed in there. You know, obviously leaving out any glass or anything that could break, glass bowls and stuff like that. So really getting all the kitchen supplies ready for a kitchen trailer as well too. And also at the same time clearing up more floor space to work here in the workshop. And praise the Lord, I was able to make more progress just in general clearing of the area, just clearing up the old clinic stuff on the teardown of that, which is very important because it keeps the landlord happy and just demonstrates that we are making progress. We are in the moving process, and apparently as long as we are emphasizing we are doing that, they aren't pressing the issue. We don't have a deadline. I had mentioned before that they are trying to sell another property before they sell this one. And last I talked to them about 2 weeks ago, they mentioned that they hadn't heard anything back from the potential buyer. So it looks like things are going slow or might have stalled completely. They haven't let me know otherwise, so apparently we're still in the slow moving process with no hurry of it. So gotta still keep them happy though, and also commit time to bush hogging the fields around here too, and just other obligations like that as well. I was able to make some more progress on the medic cart. We got the sink for it. And it's deep going backwards, which is really good for washing the forearms. I almost got it completely hooked up. Still working on that. I'm not completely happy with how much space it is taking up below. So I'm still examining that and whether it'd be better just to break out the sink into its own separate cart or not. But that's the whole purpose of this prototyping, is just to examine and go through these thought processes. Why I'm not pressed for time or have a bunch of other irons in the fire too. But this definitely gives a lot of clarity into certain things. Got the struts put on the door that lifts up there too. So making progress overall. Got the diesel heater in, read through the instructions, which are in a form of English. Need to read through them a little bit again. Need to prime it up and test it. So getting ready to do that. Probably going to test it in the little Airstream camper that we took out to the field not too long ago too. Been focusing on the little things that need to be out of the way, that need to be done, but do them now while we have the luxury of less pressure and less other things on our plate. Get a lot of little things done, because that is something we can do. We can pick up the shovel in so many different ways. And so we had this large maintenance cart that was all black, so it's hard to see at night. And I was thinking, man, if this is out in the middle of the field, somebody's going to run this over with their car or bump into it and really bang up their shins or something. So I spray painted the fencing on it yellow, just so you could see it a lot better, because that's a need that really would need to be done so they could see the maintenance cart at night. And again, this is one of the reasons why I made a model of the potential outcome with all these trailers and everything, because it really helps me visualize and helps put myself in the situation of, if I was there on the ground, what would we need? We'd need light carts. We'd need to be able to move things. If I was maintenance, how would I move my tools from this spot to the other spot? If I had to fix something in the kitchen, how would I get my tools there? How would we carry supplies there? Just go through a lot of these thinking processes by having a visual 3D model that's tangible right here, always in the workshop. So it's been a great asset to have. It does take up a bit of space, but it's like having a 3D whiteboard is the way I like to think of it, which is the reason why I built it. So I could always be reminded, always have it right in front of me, and always visually be able to check off what is needed, always be reminded of what is needed. It's like having a giant 3D whiteboard. And so the Lord brought to mind just some really neat casters that I ordered, and I put them on the table. It allows you to roll them around, and then you can just flip up the levers, and it will lower the table onto the ground so it doesn't roll around. So it's really neat, because this table is 4 foot by 8 foot, so it takes up a lot of space. So when I need to move it out of the way, I can just pop the rollers and roll it off to the side and have more room instantly. And the Lord reminded me, you could probably use these same casters in the Rapture library on all those exhibits. Remember, they are very heavy, and you hurt your back moving a lot of that stuff too? Well, these are the type of casters that would greatly make it easy to move for one person, be able to move them and then just lock them, set them down in a stable position as well. And so it's real neat just focusing on these little details. Also got some neat little push pins for the model, and these are going to help me keep track of the progress as we work on the different trailers and tool carts and supplies. Just be able to put a pin into these foam models and actually be able to color code them. What is the progress? And Lord willing, work that out a little bit more. But again, using the model as a 3D whiteboard, be able to assess the progress of all the different projects just by looking at them. Another little project was all the cabinets that we got came with keys on them so you could lock them, but unfortunately they also required you to use the key to lock the mechanism that would hold the door shut too. But this gets very problematic because it requires you to always leave the key in if you just want to turn it and be able to open the door, which means if you lose the key while it's locked, then you're out of luck. So went on Amazon, got some little thumb latches, be able to just use that to turn the locking mechanism on the inside. And so again, using time to focus on the least things that I knew this would be a real problem if they lost the key or having to keep the key in all the time, when the nurses, all they really need to do is they need to be able to just turn a latch to unlock the door and open it. We don't need to lock the linen cabinets. We don't need keys on that. We just need to be able to lock the mechanism or open it. And so spent some time, a good hour, went through all the different cabinets and replaced them with thumb latches, focusing on what we know is needed and being able to fix what we know is needed, and will make their job so much easier. Again, it's the whole concept of doing what is least. When the Lord shows us this would be a whole lot easier, or this is a problem that could potentially become a larger problem, now is the time to address it. Now is time when you have time to fix it. Once the trailers and the other bigger things come in, you're not going to have a lot of time for a lot of these little things that are important and play a role. And particularly, you want to get it done, Lord willing, once you have more helpers. They can help with some of these little things, but you have to apply yourself to the little things while you are able to do them. Pick up the shovel. Are you doing that? That's part of going forward in faith. Focusing on what is in the power of our hand to do. Are we doing that? If we can't even do that, or if we're not even willing to do what is in the power of our hand to do, then we shouldn't even worry about the Lord giving us larger projects, because we can't even handle little projects. Are we doing the little things that He asks us to do? That is always, always, always going to be a test before He gives us greater things. Can we handle the least things? Are we faithful with the least things? And friend, there's so much that the Lord's just brought to mind on the celestial learning journey lately. The reflections of the last shipyard, getting ready, the laundry trailer and the generator trailer, how He worked incredibly, miraculously. You'll remember that, miraculously, in providing those when we went forward in faith, when we picked up the shovel, when we got the shipyard ready. And look at it now. Both of those trailers are in the field, getting ready for deployment, with their lights burning right here at the incredible celestial time. Right at a time where the Lord is also showing us how to take the next steps, based on the steps we already have taken, to leave a light burning even after we are gone. He's showing us the next steps, how He intends to strengthen that light, take it even further than what we imagined even at that time. All the little parts that come together for the greater part, the greater opportunity that He is showing us to leave a light burning. All the little steps that are important, very important to the greater steps. It is so incredible just to see how the Lord is working, bringing so much that He has prepared over the past few years, bringing it all together and strengthening what He has wrought for us. When we go forward in faith, again reminded of Luke 12, where He said, "Sell that ye have and give alms. Provide yourselves bags which wax not old, a treasure in the heavens that faileth not, where no thief approacheth, neither moth corrupteth. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Let your loins be girded about, and your lights burning." Let your loins be girded about, your work gloves on, your work boots on. Let your lights be burning in His service when He comes. And this is how He wants to find us. In His service, faithful with all things that He shows us, occupied in the King's business. Be ye therefore ready also. Also. Just like the example He just told us, just like the instructions He just gave us. You be ready like them too. And friend, when the Lord shows us a large opportunity, when the Lord shows us a large ark-size project, it is going to require servants of God who are faithful in being faithful to His instructions. Being faithful to how He says, this is how you shine bright. That is the only way that those projects, that is the only way those nets are launched out into the deep and let down. It's by the servants that He knows will be faithful to follow His instructions. And the servants that shine bright and are faithful in the least things will be entrusted and shown and given the opportunity to shine in even greater things. And friend, how we are faithful in the least things, what is in the power of our hand to do, that will comport with the opportunities that He gives us. And how we shine will be a reflection of, do we have an ear to hear? Especially when He has shown us over the past several years, all leading to this point, showing us so many things that encourage us to go forward boldly in service for Him with our loins girded up, and so much the more, so that our lights are found burning. But it's going to require us to have our heart and affection set on things above. He gives us very specific instructions. Sell that ye have, and give alms. You are going to have to sell it if you want rewards, if you want treasure in heaven. That is the only way it will count for you. You know, I've heard so many different excuses over the years, and I've often heard Christians who say, well, I have such and such, but I just hope after the rapture it will be useful for them. Maybe they can put it to good use. No, the question is, are we the ones using it now? That's what Jesus Christ emphasized. I want to see, do you use it? Not somebody else. I'm not talking about some hypothetical once-in-a-blue-moon situation that may or may not happen whatsoever. Do you use it? I put it in your hand. I gave it to you. If you aren't going to be the one using it for the King, then you aren't going to be getting any reward. And friend, this should deeply sober us that this is the instruction He gave right verses away, breaths away, where He said, I am coming. I want you to be ready. And this is what He talked about. You know I'm coming. This is what you need to be doing knowing I'm coming. Why? Because you are getting ready to leave. You are getting ready to leave. And friend, again, now is when we need to mentally go through the assets that are in our life, in our garage, in our house, wherever, and just start mentally adding it up. What am I prepared to throw away at the rapture? What am I prepared just to leave? What are the excuses that I'm making of not using it for God's kingdom now? What are the reasons? You may not call it excuses, but what are the reasons that you use for not using it for God's kingdom right now? Add it all up and look at the total and say, I am willing to throw this away at the rapture on the same day that I'm meeting my King. Are you going to be throwing it away at the rapture? And friend, you also need to soberly consider you might not make it to the rapture. You might throw it away tomorrow. You might be throwing it away at the rapture also in more ways that you haven't even thought of. Look at the hurricane that happened in Florida recently. What happens in disasters such as this? Fires break out. Electrical shorts happen. Power lines come down. You'll see this is a common problem when a disaster strikes, when sudden destruction strikes. Fires break out at multiple places, burns houses down, burns down whole groups of houses sometimes, starts wildfires. What do you think is going to happen at the tribulation start? What do you think is going to happen at the very first hour of the rapture too? With all the car accidents that are happening all over the place, running into things, knocking down power poles. People disappearing and leaving the stove running because they were making dinner. Have you thought about that too? What if you're raptured in the middle of making dinner and you burn your own house down, burn down all your stuff in the house too? Nobody ever gets to use any of it. With what we know from disasters and what we are expecting at the rapture, the odds are not in your favor that your goods will survive. And even if they did, so what? It wouldn't count for eternity if you did not use it for God's kingdom yourself. Friend, I hate to be morbid, but you could be hit by a bus today. Go outside into traffic, there's a lot of crazy drivers out there. You may not make it home again. And then all your stuff is left behind. Does it count for you? Is it credit towards you if someone then uses your stuff for God's kingdom in spite of you? Or now that you are gone? No, that doesn't count towards your credit whatsoever. So friend, don't think of, I'll just leave this here behind and I'm not going to use it now. I'll just leave it behind and hopefully somebody can use it during the rapture for ministry or something like that. No, friend, use it now. That's what he emphasized. Jesus did not say, sell that you have or leave it and hope somebody can use it and then that will be added to credit on your account. No, he said, if you want treasure, you are going to be the one who has to use it. If you don't use it, it doesn't matter what other people do with it. And so, friend, when we examine the assets that our King has given us, that we have in our life that we know we could sell and we should sell, he's already given us the instructions that that's what we should be doing. We're not awaiting the King to impress upon us to sell our stuff because he's already told us this is what you should be doing when you know I'm coming and this is how I want to find you. He's already given us that instruction. But friend, when you count that up and you add up the total, there's one more calculation you need to do. And we find that in Matthew 19:27. Then answered Peter and said unto him, Behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have therefore? And Jesus said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me, in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And every one that hath forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold, and shall inherit everlasting life. But many that are first shall be last, and last shall be first. Friends, as servants of God, we have Scripture. And Jesus Christ plainly tells us how his kingdom works, how his reward program works. And he plainly told the disciples, anyone who forsakes anything for my name's sake, they shall receive 100-fold, multiplied times 100. And notice he mentions specifically houses and lands. And he's talking about this to Peter and the disciples that left their fishing boats. They left their fishing business. They left it all behind. They forsook that. Matthew, remember, he left and forsook a very lucrative job too. They forsook all for his name's sake, to follow him, to be his servants, to be his disciples. That was worth more to them than their lands, their houses, their stuff, their business. And Jesus Christ says, everyone that does this for my name's sake shall receive 100-fold. And he says this is going to apply when he sits on the throne of his glory. And this is what we are expecting not too far away in the prophetic future, when he's going to rule and reign for 1,000 years, and when the disciples will rule and judge the 12 tribes of Israel for 1,000 years. And he says here, he doesn't even put any minimum below that. He automatically jumps to, it's going to be 100-fold, whatever you give up for my name's sake. And so, friend, when you do your calculations to review what you're going to throw away at the rapture, or if you get hit by a bus today, you also need to take that figure and you need to multiply it times 100. Times 100. Because that opportunity, that treasure, that reward is what you're ultimately throwing away. 100-fold of that. And friends, this is what our Master wants to find us busy in, with our loins girded up, following him in his service, step by step, faithfully, having an ear to hear his instructions, holding fast to his instructions, and demonstrating that we are the servants that hear him. We are the servants that will obey him. And we are found with our lights burning as we obey him. And friend, I want to encourage you, I want to exhort you so much the more to count the cost. To set your heart and affections on things above. We are getting ready to move. Getting ready to move where? To an eternal home. What have we deposited up in our heavenly home? What have we deposited up in eternity? Friends, our Father has brought us on an incredible learning journey. He's also shown us an incredible opportunity. An opportunity where he already knows what he is going to do in the multiplying. But even when he is going to miraculously multiply, he also requires faithfulness. He also requires us to use what is in the power of our hand to do. Just like when he fed the 5,000. He already knew what he was going to do. He already knew the miraculous ability he was going to add to what the lad offered that was in the power of his hand to do. The 2 fish, 5 loaves. Friends, when our Father shows us a great opportunity, when he says launch out into deep and let down the nets, when he shows us faithfulness, when we have done that with the shipyards and going forward with the laundry trailer and the generator trailer and everything here at the Brook Cherith, all during the celestial learning journey, how he has faithfully given insight to the celestial time, to the geopolitical time. We know what time it is. We know we're running out of time. All of that he has given us assures us and encourages us to go forward even more boldly to let down the nets, because he knows there is a draft of fish there. And when our Master shows us such a great opportunity, we can go forward and boldly take a hold of that opportunity, knowing that he will fulfill what he has promised, why he has shown it to us. He will fulfill it. He will strengthen what he has wrought. So thank you to all those who are already a part of this learning journey, part of these last-minute preparations, what the Lord is working, helping get the nets ready, helping launch out into the deep. All those who are coming alongside right now, you are a vital part of what the Lord is working right now. And I can't wait to see what and how the Lord is going to multiply these 2 fish, the 5 loaves, the 2 mites, all that we offer. What is in the power of our hand to do, our Father will multiply it incredibly and abundantly for his glory. And friend, I want you to be a part. I truly want you to be a part. I want you to be a part of picking up the shovel. I want you to be a part of planting the seed that will result in a harvest. If we do not even plant the seed, we should not even expect a harvest. Are we expecting a harvest? When our Father promises and shows us a harvest of potentially 100-fold, we should be able to rise up and go forward boldly. We should pick up the shovel. We should consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works. To consider and exhort each other to pick up the shovels, pick up the nets. Let's go out and so much the more. We see the day approaching. Our Master has shown us the day approaching. He's shown us the direction to launch. He's shown us the nets to let down. Let us go forward and so much the more. We have no excuse. Let's not make excuses. Let's go forward with no regrets. No regrets. We've heard so many trumpet calls at midnight, friend. So let's rise up together. You and me. Let's trim our lamps. Let's get ourselves ready so that we can shine bright. Let's count the cost. Let's do whatever we need to do so that we can shine bright here at this late hour. That's part of trimming our lamps so that we do shine brighter. We set aside the weights. What's holding us back? We set it all aside. We get it out of our way so that we can press forward, press toward the prize. We can rise up and go out to meet the bridegroom. Are we trimming our lamps right now? Let's trim our lamps. Let's put in the midnight oil and let's go out to meet the bridegroom. Hearing him, heeding and obeying him, loving him and serving him first and highest above all else, shining bright like the celestial stars till he comes. Maranatha.